we're gonna see if we can rip through all these books tonight. If I'm wearing the same sweater and it's dark and I'm using this overhead light, then we made it. So this is book two. I've had two coffees and it is 8 p.m. right now. So we might be burning the midnight candle for this Harry Potter first four books in the series. Let's let it rip. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. To be honest, not my favorite of the first four. I have read the first four so far. That's why I'm starting a review series on all these books, and I will then release the fifth, sixth, and seventh, which are the hopes to finish in December, as this is December 2nd, and I finish all these. My books to read before the end of the year are behind me. Actually, you get a sneak peek on this. Check this out. So my mom, shout out mom, she found these in a Goodwill and got me the whole series. So I've read the first four, and I am going to be working on the Order of Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and the Deathly Hallows to wrap up 2025. That is my goal. I think it's like 2,500 pages between those three books. So your boy's about to be nerding out on Harry Potter for December, but we live in Iowa. It's cold. It's reading season. That's what December looks like for me for reads. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Probably my least favorite of the first four books, but still deserving of 4 out of 5 stars, I would say. So what's interesting for this book is because Harry now knows about the wizardly world of Hogwarts and has been there, he has this ominous awakening to start off this book where he, like one of the highlights as he's in the Dursleys, go to video 1 if you want to learn how this story starts, or if you want to hear my ramblings of book 1. Harry now knows that he's a Gryffindor and he's had a scary but kick-ass year 1, and so he's back at the Dursleys. They don't know that he can't use magic outside of Hogwarts, so he's kind of like had a better year. But anyway, he's awakened by Dobby, who is the house elf of the Malfoys, his arch nemesis, or at least Draco is. He warns Harry not to come back to Hogwarts, for there will be harm that is brought to him if he comes back to Hogwarts. Harry has already been imprisoned in his little cupboard closet. So Dobby has this ominous awakening to Harry, and he's like banging around. He's like doing all this stuff, and Harry doesn't want him to bang around because the Dursleys have company. Oh, right. This is Uncle Vernon. The sister comes in book 3 or 4. I can't remember. But this is the Dursleys like sales. He's trying to like make a big sale, and so he invited this couple over. And basically, Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia lock him up in his cupboard and are like, "Stay there! Don't make a noise. We don't want you coming out." I don't know. They just hate Harry. It's awful. This house elf, Dobby, tries to get Harry banned from Hogwarts by using magic outside of Hogwarts, which is illegal. And so he floats this cake on top of the wife of this guy that Uncle Vernon's trying to impress, and drops this cake on her head. And, she's like stunned, and everybody's stunned, and they turn around, and it's Harry, because Harry was trying to stop Dobby, but Dobby vanishes. And so Harry gets a letter that he can't come, and that he's stuck, and, the Dursleys are pissed, obviously, because he just ruined the big sale. Ron and Fred and George, his older brothers that are currently in Hogwarts, he's got 2 others, Charlie and Bill. Bill works for the Bank of Gringotts, the Goblin Bank, where Harry got his money to buy like his books and things like that. And then Charlie works with the dragons. Oh, and there's Percy. Percy's just a dork, so I just forget about Percy. At least he is right now. Maybe he becomes cool in book 5, 6, or 7. Percy is at Hogwarts. He's like the head boy or whatever. I'm just rambling, man. So Fred and George and Ron come to save Harry. And it's like this epic exit as they have to rip off the barricaded window. And as Harry's exiting, Uncle Vernon like has his leg as he's been like being like pulled out of the freaking window by Ron and his magical flying car that is owned by Arthur Weasley, who is Ron's dad, who loves bewitched normal Muggle items. And Muggle is the term, if you've read the series, so like I don't have to say it, but Harry's rescued from his hellacious home in Privet Drive, and he's taken to the Weasley's house. And basically the Weasleys, or Harry and Ron, miss their train back to Hogwarts and end up taking this car that they flew to rescue Harry back to Hogwarts. It's this whole event because Muggles see them and they have to get rid of their memory so that they don't know that magic people exist. Anyway, they arrive and they land in the Whomping Willow, which is this big tree that just wrecks their car. But they make it to Hogwarts, and it's a very notable entrance for these two boys who are late with being back. Their old professor, Snape, who has it out for Harry, expels them for their glamorous entrance after flying there in this car from the Weasleys. I guess one part that I should mention is that Arthur and uh, Lucius have like this old tiff, and basically the Weasleys are like poor and the Malfoys are rich, but the Weasleys are good and the Malfoys are evil, and there's this dynamic that builds tension, and they're in a bookshop and they're buying books for their kids for the second year, and Arthur is basically he comes to like face to face with Malfoy, and Malfoy is just talking shit on how the Weasleys can't afford books for their family, and that's because they have too many kids, yada yada. I believe they get in a fight. They definitely don't in the movie because I've been subsequently watching the movies with some of our neighbors who like the movies, and they definitely don't get in a fight in the movie. But I believe that Arthur and Malfoy get in a fight, and then Harry at this bookstore meets Gilderoy Lockhart, who becomes the new professor of the dark arts because Professor Quirrell, is obviously a shithead and had freaking Voldemort on the back of his head. So he's gone. The new professor is in, and they had a hard time finding this professor because there's this theme that the dark arts professor is cursed, and so nobody really wanted the job, but Gilderoy Lockhart wanted the job, and so he's this boisterous, flamboyant dude who loves fame, and he's also a fraud. It comes to be found out, and he uses memory charms on people so that they forget their memory, and he basically steals their stories. But that's uncovered later on in the book. But anymore, as there's this squabble of the Malfoy dad and the Weasley dad, Arthur and Lucius. Lucius ends up dropping the journal into Ginny's cauldron that is Tom Riddle's journal, which becomes important in the later part of the series. But anyway, they're going about their business. They're doing their Hogwarty things. They're learning their curses. They're learning their potions. They're learning their spells. And Harry starts hearing these like murderous whispers as he's at Hogwarts that nobody else can hear, and it's this ominous new dark theme developing in book 2. What's interesting is nobody else can hear this, and people start turning up petrified, which means that they're like frozen. It starts off with Miss Norris, who is Filch, the like janitor, if you will, of Hogwarts. His cat is petrified, and it says in blood on one of the Hogwarts walls, the Chamber of Secrets has been opened. And anyway, it's interesting because only the heir of Slytherin can open this, and it comes to be that Harry can speak to snakes because as there's this duel in Gilderoy Lockhart's class, the fraud professor for the dark arts who's filled this position has people duel, and Harry's dueling Malfoy, young Malfoy, Draco, and anyway, he like talks to the snake and basically gets the snake not to attack somebody, but it sounded as though he wants the snake to attack someone. So anyway, people start to think that he's the heir of Slytherin because he can talk to snakes, which is Parseltongue. And so it develops in this plot that Harry can hear snakes. And so as this plot carries on, what they find out is that the Chamber of Secrets is holding this gigantic snake. And so the voices that he's hearing are coming from said snake. However, even though Harry's Parseltongue ability or ability to talk to snakes is revealed, Harry knows that he is not the heir of Slytherin. They try to talk to Malfoy because Malfoy's like the dark dude in Slytherin, and Slytherin's emblem has a snake, and so they know it has to be somebody in Slytherin. Ron and Harry end up drinking a polyjuice potion, which basically transformed them into Draco's boys, Crabbe and Goyle, and they're like, "Yo, what do you know about this?" And anyway, Draco's like, "I would have told you, or I told you I don't know anything." And so they find out that Draco's not him, and so they're still trying to solve this riddle, pun intended. That was good. That was a good one. If you're following along, I think it was anyway. Anyway, Hermione then becomes petrified because it's going after uh, Muggles, I believe, and Hermione's like parents aren't wizardly types, so she's a Muggle. The snake takes Ginny into the chamber, and so that's kind of like the final straw. And what Harry and Ron uncover as Hermione was trying to figure out, because remember she's like the bookworm, as Hermione, the friend of Harry and Ron, are trying to figure out who or like what is petrifying people, she finds out that it's the snake, and she has like this note in her hand that contains the information that she had just uncovered after reading books in the library, and basically says it's a basilisk, and the basilisk can kill people if you look it in the eyes, and so that's who Moaning Myrtle, or that's why Moaning Myrtle is killed, and she's like lingering in the bathroom, and it makes sense because that's where the Chamber of Secrets is, and so the snake would then, and so anyway, Hagrid the giant is also framed during this for. You guys can help me with this because I'm forgetting a little bit. Tom Riddle set Hagrid up that he was the opener of the Chamber of Secrets, and so that's why he was stripped of his magic and was forced to be sent to Azkaban, I believe. Tom Riddle had Harry like peek through this journal and saw way back when that Hagrid was like this bad dude, but it was all the framing that Tom Riddle wanted Harry to see. Hogwarts faces this potential closure because kids are getting petrified and they don't know where it's coming from. Hagrid is now sent to Azkaban, and there's all this havoc that is being raised. But again, they find the note that is in Hermione's hand talking about the basilisk, and so Harry and Ron talk to Hagrid, I believe, before he's sent off, and they say, "Oh, they had their invisibility cloak on, and they were in the cabin of Hagrid before he was taken away, and Dumbledore knew, but." I think it's Professor, or not Professor, Ministry Fudge dude, takes Hagrid away to Azkaban, or was it Barty Crouch? No, I can't remember. Help me out, people. So Harry and Ron follow these spiders who meet Aragog, who is this giant spider who basically proves Hagrid's innocence because the like colony of spiders say that their like arch nemesis, or like the thing that they're most afraid of, is inside the chamber, which is the snake. So then, raising to the final point that causes Harry, Ron, and Gilderoy to enter the chamber is Ginny, Ron's younger sister, being taken into the chamber. Lockhart is a coward and attempts to flee. So Harry and Ron, there are like so many classes that Lockhart just messes up as he's trying to explain, and people are like losing trust in him that he is who he says he is, and a lot of the professors already like kind of know that he's a fraud, but the students are like, like, you want this dude? And anyway, as Ron and Harry come into his office, he's like already packing his stuff up, and he's about to get out of Dodge. And Harry and Ron are like, "Nah, dude, you're coming into the chamber with us." And so they basically like have to forcibly by wand like make him come with them. What is freaking what's his face say? Gilderoy, he's talking about Ginny to Ron, which Ron is Ginny's older brother, and he's like, "Most unfortunate. I wish her well." as she's like petrified in this freaking chamber by the snake. The duo like gets Gilderoy down there, and Gilderoy takes Ron's like busted janky wand and like tries to like bewitch him too, put a memory charm on him, but it backfires because Ron's janky wand is just all crap from, I forget from what. Uh, huh. What made Ron's wand break? I could Google it, but I'm just not gonna. This is opportunity for us to chat about it. So let me know what caused Ron's wand to break. I cannot remember. Um, anyway, backfires on Gilderoy, and he's basically useless. Not that he was of much use beforehand, but anyway, he's just like completely clueless and down there. And Ron gets separated with all these rocks falling because Gilderoy's curse that like disturbed the peace down there. And basically, Ron is now like trapped and can't do anything, and it's up to Harry. All this is up to Harry, and Harry comes to a point where he sees Ginny out cold and comes to find out that Tom Riddle, the diary that was put in Ginny's cauldron by Lucius, Tom Riddle was manipulating Ginny to basically do his dark deeds throughout the year. And the final straw was getting Harry down in the Chamber of Secrets so that he could kill him. Because Tom Riddle is basically young Voldemort. It actually spelled out like I am Lord Voldemort at one point. And so the final confrontation is Harry is facing Tom Riddle, the preserved memory of Voldemort. And so Riddle reveals that he's been manipulating Ginny through this diary. Then the basilisk appears, the big, dark, huge, massive snake that Harry's been hearing all year appears. And Riddle's like, "You're screwed. I'm about to get you." And so the basilisk is like this ancient weapon that is coming after Harry, and Harry is truly effed. He is way out of his league trying to deal with the basilisk. And thankfully, the cover of the book, Fawkes, the Phoenix, Dumbledore's bird, comes to the rescue and freaking eye gouges, just gets the basilisk right in the eyes. And so now the basilisk is blind, and so now it's more of a level playing field for Harry. So then Harry actually, as the basilisk is like coming to chomp on Harry, he the Sorting Hat appears or was already there. Can't remember, but the Sword of Gryffindor appears, which there's a lot of symbolism there that we'll talk about in a second. But it appears and he stabs the basilisk, and anyway, the basilisk dies, but not before piercing him with one of the venomous fangs. And so like Harry's like really like heavy breathing, and he's about to go. Like Harry's, he's knocking on heaven's door, as they say. He takes the diary, just like quick-wittedly, takes the fang out and like stabs the diary, and that penetrates this figurative form of Tom Riddle, and he just like combusts right there. And anyway, Harry stabs the diary, and Tom Riddle is no more. Oh, yeah, and Dumbledore, I think, was like caused to leave as well because Hogwarts was like coming to ruin, and there was some line that like those who are like truly loyal to Dumbledore will always be able to find him when they need. Anyway, Fawkes comes to Harry's aid and obviously tears out the eyes of the basilisk, but then also cries into Harry's wound, which then heals him because the tears of the Fawkes heal Harry. There are so many like magical wonders in this book. This is probably my least favorite book, being honest. I would be curious to know, out of the first four, which is your least favorite book. But Fawkes is definitely like one of the coolest characters. There's a lot of like petrifying and stuff that I thought was like, the plot was like not as good as the next two books for sure. These books are great. I'm gonna have them linked above so you can check that out here. So Hagrid is returned. Lockhart is removed from the scene, and the year ends with the clarity that the chaos that was happening in the book was all from Tom Riddle and the diary that was planted by the dark dude, Lucius Malfoy, which a lot comes out about Lucius in book 4 that I just finished at the end of November. I think one of my favorite parts was that Harry like slid the sock into Lucius's, or rather, Tom Riddle's diary, and then like handed it to Dobby, and then Dobby was free. Dobby is a free elf. That was like the most wholesome part. I swear, I love that so much. Because if a master gives an elf a piece of clothing, it's frees them, and so that was just like such a wholesome part and conclusion. I think the metaphors and like kind of the life lessons in this one are like watch out for possessions that can infiltrate your soul or manipulate the way you are or who you are and how you act. Like the diary. Maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but like Ginny was very naive and she was manipulated by Tom Riddle and him like fakely being compassionate to her problems. So he took hold of Ginny and had Ginny like do all his nefarious acts under the guise of her, even though it was aimed darkly to benefit Tom Riddle and Lord Voldemort. And then also the courage of Harry to face what terrified him. So like the basilisk was this massive monster that he wasn't prepared for, yet he dared to be courageous anyway. I don't know how that would work out in real life because the fox probably isn't gonna come to the rescue, but still, for the sake of the story, it was really admirable. All right, anyway, coming to the conclusion, we are going to go through favorite chapter, 2 favorite quotes, and 3 dog-eared pages like ABC, hence the book club, a better chapter. And so before I dive into this is the point where if you have made it to this video, I'm a new channel here and you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel immensely. Also, one other action item for you is as I am going over my favorite chapter, 2 favorite quotes, and 3 favorite or dog-eared pages, I would love to know yours as I comb back through these books and read these comments and reviews. I would love to know your favorite quote or your favorite chapter or your most beloved dog-eared page. Let's start with favorite chapter. Dobby's warning. Pretty cool. Gilderoy Lockhart sucks. Writing on the wall. That was whenever it was like, the Chamber of Secrets is opened. Dueling Club. That was pretty sick. Expelliarmus. Wasn't that the Dueling Club 182? I know it's whenever Malfoy and Harry duel, and that's whenever Harry finds out, or the whole school finds out that Harry can speak Parseltongue. I think it'd have to be 13. Favorite chapter in this one is the Very Secret Diary. I think the way that it goes back in time and kind of tells the story of who Voldemort was as a student at Hogwarts, as well as who Hagrid was and all the quirks and like goofiness of Hagrid and why he was thought to be deservedly banned from Hogwarts. It really uncovers quite a lot. You can see the manifestation of Riddle's cunning and shrewdness towards certain individuals like Hagrid. And so it's like the impetus of what begins Tom Riddle's wicked acts. Just the ability to go back was interesting in developing some of the character plots. And also, obviously, it was like a much needed chapter to help this book work cohesively. And so, yeah, chapter 13 is going to be that. 2 favorite quotes from this book. Oh, shoot. Is this the one where Dumbledore says, "Is our choices far more than our abilities that determine who we are?" Oh, I totally goofed. I said in the last video that was my favorite quote, but it came from this book. Yikes. Sorry about that. Oh, man. I think Dobby is free! That has to be an honorable mention. I mean, Harry saving Dobby is certainly just like a phenomenal ending to this book. Dobby is free is definitely one of the best quotes. Also, fear of a name increases the fear of the thing itself is a good one, meaning just like confront it, whatever fear you have in your life. I thought that was a really poignant quote. When in doubt, go to the library. I think that's pretty applicable. I mean, to this book club that we are starting, going to the library not only uncovers answers, but it also allows you to set up your peers and delve into the minds of others that may be further along than your own. And I mean, that's part of why I'm here, is to further my education, but also my whimsy, and expose myself to great works that I otherwise wouldn't come across. And I'm sure, you too have found that with reading. And it's my hope to ultimately, have a channel that you can comment, your favorite quote or your favorite chapter or your favorite dog-eared page. And with that, we're going to get into dog-eared pages, which actually before my mom bought me a series, I had read this book from the illustration version from the library here. And so this does not have any dog-eared pages. So yeah, anyway, I'm probably going to cut the rest of that because I did read this book, the bigger book from the library. So with that, let me know which pages you dog-eared, and I will be sure to go back and read them. As always, thanks for tuning in to a better chapter. And if you care to hop into the next conversation of book 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, which was by far the best out of the first 3, go ahead and check that out up here. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I can keep going all night talking about Harry Potter. All right, right on. Hope you all have a good day or night, and thanks for tuning in. Peace.